Hey there, and welcome to Grow Your Business with Google. My name is Terry Flack, and I own a digital agency called Connect Digital. We're proudly based in South Africa, and we are a Google partner. So I'm excited to share with you how we can actually grow your business using the power of Google. So let's have a look at it and focus in on Google for a second. And let's look at why Google. And the key thing here is that we really need to be where people are looking for you. And in terms of people searching, their go-to places is Google. And I'm sure that we all find that on a daily basis that we are searching on Google. But why is this really important for your business? Well, very simply, pretty much every other form of marketing, whether you're looking at the traditional marketing, radio, TV, whatever the case may be, or digital marketing per se, all happens in an outbound fashion. We are marketing to the marketplace. The difference with Google is that people are looking for you. So it's inbound marketing. They are coming to you, they are in a buying frame of mind, whether they are wanting to do research or whether they are actually ready to purchase. They are searching for you and for your product or service. So make sure that you're available and make sure that they can find you there. So let's have a look at it for a second and just consider why Google. Well, first and foremost, if you've got a website, well, you're part of the 6.9 billion people who are searching on Google on a daily basis. And there are 1.7 billion websites currently on Google. So it's really, really critical that you're there and available to be found when people are looking for you. That really is critically important. What are the other aspects of Google? Well, on average, we are using Google for 12 minutes a day. Now, while that figure may not sound too high, let's consider that a search probably takes you about 30 seconds to a minute. That means on average, people are searching 10 to 20 searches per day. Because if you think about it, we're not spending a lot of time on Google. What we're looking for is a company that can provide us with the information or products or services that we're looking for. So it is vitally, vitally important that we are there. And to be there, you've got to be utilizing and maximizing the best that Google has to offer, and there really are some amazing options. So let's explore a couple of other factors in terms of why Google. Well, one of the key things that all businesses should be doing is sending out a newsletter and converting that into a blog or creating dedicated blogs for your website. And if you are doing that, fantastic. You are one of 2 million blogs that are posted on websites on a daily basis. And the importance of that is that it's keeping your website dynamic and active, which we'll talk about in a little bit. It really is so important that you're doing that because it's updating and keeping your website fresh. So something to consider as far as that's concerned. And again, Google, why? You know, we've heard of other search engines and I'm sure you've experienced them in the past. But quite honestly, 97.2% of searches globally are happening on Google. So make sure you're there. So let's look at 3 fundamental reasons why you've got to be on Google. The first is that we want to drive visitors to your website. So it's really important, and again, we'll talk about that in a moment, that you do have a fantastically interactive and informative and connective website, which we'll get into, because we really want to drive traffic to your website. Then on your website, but also the stage before your website, which we'll talk about in a moment, which is Google My Business, we want to enable your prospective customer to be able to call you straight away, and Google enables that. And then finally, we want them shopping with you. So if you do have e-commerce enabled, fantastic. That really is important. Let's have a look at some of the stats in terms of searches per month on Google, just so that you can get an idea on that. So we have 5 billion searches on a monthly basis for restaurants. We have 3 billion searches for hotels, 1 billion searches for clothing, and we have over 600 million searches for your other services. And a good old-fashioned coffee shop, well, 5 million searches a month on that. So it really is profoundly important that your business is featuring on Google. And we're going to break into that in a moment. And what I'd like to do now is just take a moment to explain the difference, but also the relationship between your paid advertising with Google and search engine optimization. So search engine optimization, or SEO, is all about optimizing your website from a searchability point of view on Google. And there's a number of things that we need to get right on this. You know, we've got to make sure that your website is secure, that the content is relevant, that we've included video, that there are contact points for your clients in terms of them wanting to go to social media and check you out there, or contact you on WhatsApp, or whatever the case may be, but making sure that your website is alive and dynamic is really important. You know, I often with my clients use the analogy of your website is like a vehicle. So you've gone to the showroom, you've purchased a new vehicle, you drive it out, and now it's out there in the world. And it's the same thing with your website. And similarly, you're making sure that from the moment you buy that new vehicle, that you're checking oil and water, tire pressure, taking it for its service, making sure that it remains in tip-top condition. Because if you don't, what happens? Your vehicle over a period of time is going to slowly start eroding and causing you problems. With your website, it is exactly the same thing. We've got to make sure that your vehicle, your website, is optimized or maintained in a healthy fashion. And there's a lot that we can do in terms of that. You know, when you're putting in the oil and water, it's like putting in fresh content to your website. Again, using blogs effectively. So what is paid advertising? Well, you may have heard the term Google Ads, or as it used to be called, Google AdWords. And Google Ads is really the fuel that you put into your vehicle. And if you want your website, your vehicle, to drive long distance, it's going to be really important that you are putting that advertising budget in. But again, how do the two work? So very simply, I say that search engine optimization and paid advertising are hand in glove. Search engine optimization will help with your natural ranking, because bear in mind that we want to achieve, number one, we want to achieve page one, because that's where the majority of the searches are. In fact, 97.2% of searches happen on page one. So we've got to be there. So by optimizing your website, which is a little bit more of a longer term strategy, you've got to be factoring in 6 to 12 months, depends on your level of activity and optimization, to help your website organically move up the ranks to get you to page one for certain key search phrases or keywords. And that's really important. So what does Google Ads do? Well, as long as you've got budget, that's going to get you to the top. So if you've got particular search phrases that you want to feature for on Google Ads, you can pay for that. It works on a pay-per-click basis, which means that if somebody clicks on your advert, your Google ad, goes through to your website and spends more than a minute there, you're going to get charged for that. Or your agency will get charged for that. Depends on how you do it. And that's really important, because you can then set your budget and say, okay, I want to budget 200 Rand a day for my Google Ads over the coming month. And based on the data, and we'll talk more about data analysis in a little bit, you know that the optimal posting time for your particular product may be during the working mornings and not on the weekends. It may be late afternoon or into the evening if your product is relevant for that particular market. So it's really about fine-tuning your Google Ads so that you're getting the best bang for buck. And none of us have an unlimited Google Ads budget. So just bear in mind that you will be on top for as long as you have budget. Hence the importance of optimizing your website so that it's helping you rank organically and improving all the time to get you to that critical page 1. So how do you check to see how your website is doing? Well, here's a great tool that we use all the time. There's a free site analysis on a website called WooRank, and you can see on the screen now the details of WooRank. And what I recommend is just put your website in and see how you're ranking. If you are in the 60s or below, that is showing that your website does need some attention. So you can see, as an example, our Connect website, I did the analysis, and we're sitting at 73. And just for your information, we did an analysis to see how Google.com does, and they're sitting at 80%. So that's why we say any website that is in the 70s, it shows that your website is active and you're keeping it alive. Fantastic job. But if it's not, then we need to get under the hood of that vehicle, your website, and have a look at what needs to be optimized. What do we need to do? What do we need to fine tune to make that website optimized to the best of its ability, which will naturally help your ranking? The website's so important. Well, essentially your website should be the central point of your digital ecosystem. And what I mean by your digital ecosystem is, where are we connecting with your clients or your prospective clients within the digital realm? Are we emailing? Are we WhatsApping? What social media channels are we using? Are we using Google to its maximum benefit and ability? What other functions do we have? How else are we getting people to go to our website? And that's just in the online sphere. But what about offline? You know, we've got to consider things like vehicle branding, your company clothes. Do they have the website on them? Vehicle branding, signage, whatever other functions in terms of your marketing should all be displaying your website address, because we want to drive traffic to the website. That is what is so crucial. So if you can imagine your website as your central point of your marketing, we need to get everybody to your website, because on the website there should be the information about the problems that you're solving for your clients, how you can do that, products that are available, connection points, and it really is so important to have all of that in place. And let's delve into that in a little bit more detail. One of the things that I feel that a lot of websites are missing is your ability to enable your customer or your prospective customer to contact you. It's seemingly so simple, but the number of websites that I see that just don't have that is amazing. And what do I mean by contact points or connection points? Well, let's have a look at it. They should be able to phone you from your website. They should be able to email you. They should be able to WhatsApp you. And that's really important. To have a WhatsApp integration in your website is fantastically effective. You should have 2-3 social channels at least where they can contact you. Do you have a contact form where you can fill out, where the prospective client can fill out what they're looking for and send that through to you? It's a fantastic way to generate leads as far as that's concerned. So make sure your website has those connection points. Critically important. What else are we looking at? Well, it's really important that your website is loading fast. So you've got to make sure that the service provider, the hosting company that you're using, is enabling for fast upload speeds. And the other critical point, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit more detail, is that it needs to be secure. Make sure your website is as secure as possible. There's a lot of great functions and software that we can add to add a level of security. But again, back to that analogy of the vehicle, if you're using a non-professional or a low-rate hosting company, it's kind of like parking your vehicle just somewhere on the street and maybe there's a bit of shade cloth there. If you're using a hosting company that really has excellent security around it, you're now putting your vehicle, your website, in a garage, a locked garage. There's now the ability to add more security to it, like electric fences, etc., in the digital realm in terms of protecting your website. Now, why am I carrying on about this when we should be thinking and talking all things Google? Well, cybersecurity is the second biggest global business concern. It is massive. Businesses are losing billions in terms of their websites getting hacked, their websites getting injected with scripts that see people being able to ransom or grab a hold of your website and actually require you to pay a ransom on that. You know, there's malicious individuals who just for the fun of it are wanting to see if they can hack your website. So we're getting invaded on our websites all the time. So just make sure that you have the security in place. But most importantly, your website is there to enable you to connect with your customer. So let's have a look at how we can maximize your website's exposure on Google. When I'm talking about this, I know for a lot of people it seems really overwhelming. Google ads and different types of Google ads, and how are we going to do it, and how do we set budgets, and what do we do in terms of the various Google platforms that we can use and maximize. So I really encourage you to keep it simple and budget dependent. Have a look at one of two options. One, learn to do it yourself because you can. And if you have the time and inclination, fantastic thing to do, because then you have an understanding of how Google ads work. But bear in mind, there will be a learning curve. So just acknowledge the fact that it's going to take you, let's say, 3 months to get on top of it, and then you're away. If you don't have the time or inclination and you really need it to be done professionally, I highly recommend that you contact a Google partner like ourselves and make sure that you can maximize on that. So with a Google specialist, they will be able to do the detailed analysis of how many searches for your particular key phrases or keywords people are looking for, where that's happening, and really setting a budget in terms of if you spend X amount on Google ads, you should get Y number of clicks, and based on the Y number of clicks, you should convert X percentage into sales. So that's really how you need to be thinking about it. But it's so important to just keep it simple. And the other thing that is probably more important than simplicity is consistency. Making sure that you are there on Google ads consistently. Even if your budget is a low budget of, let's say, 5,000 Rand a month, make sure that you are consistently on Google ads, because the beautiful thing about Google and the Google algorithm, the secret sauce that none of us know but all of us utilize, is that if you're using the Google products, it's also going to positively impact on your organic search. Google rewards you for using Google products, and that's really, really powerful. So let's have a look at the 4 steps as we see it that are really, really important and very simple in terms of putting together your Google campaign. The first is plan. Take some time, a couple of hours, and go, who am I wanting to reach? Where are they? What sort of spend do I have? What sort of message am I wanting to convey on my Google ads? And that's really important. Don't just slap up a Google ad without thinking about the content of it, because the difference between somebody who is searching, your next customer searching for the product you offer and going to your Google ad as opposed to your competitors often comes down to how well that Google ad has been crafted. So take some time, plan. What are we wanting to achieve? How many clicks do we want to achieve? What conversion rate? Some very, very simple metrics that are really so important. Then it gets fun. Now it's time to start the build phase. And the build phase is really making sure that your website is in great condition, that you've set up your Google My Business, that you're setting up your Google ads, and that you're starting to use those effectively. It really, really is powerful. So build it. Build your digital landscape. And by building your digital landscape, you're going to know more of what you need to do and plan accordingly. Then the next phase is the growth phase. And this is where it gets really exciting. And I know for my business, when I'm seeing traction happening on my Google ads and people coming to the website and people making contact and then being able to convert those inquiries into sales, it's a rush. It really is. So the growth phase is where it is dynamic. You're out there, your Google ads are set up, your Google My Business is rolling, everything is working like it should, and this is where you start to generate the leads. And like I say, super exciting. But let's not leave it at that. It's all well and fine getting the leads, but stage 4 is to make sure that you're doing the analysis. Let's evaluate how well your Google Ads campaign is doing. That is critically important, because by evaluating it, you're then able to pivot and perfect your campaigns. Do more of what's working, do less of what isn't. And by doing the analysis, and Google has some fantastic analyses platforms available for you, which I'll touch on in a little bit, which will give you some really good reading in terms of how well your campaign is doing or what you should be doing better. So I hope those four cycles will really help you in terms of growing with Google. We've got the 4 simple steps up and running. We've got our plan of action in place. We've built our environment. We're starting to get going. And in time, we will do our evaluation and make sure that we're on track. But let's just take a moment, and I touched on it earlier, and I'd like to talk about for a second what I call the rule of 7 branding. And this is really important when you're looking at the planning phase of what you're doing. Rule of 7 branding from our side simply looks at what 7 online and what 7 offline points of branding or connection or platform or marketing campaign are we running. And again, it is so simple. So if we have a look at online, number 1, got to be your website. Number 2, optimization of your website. Number 3, looking at the Google marketing products and specifically Google ads to maximize your traffic to your website. 4, do we have a subscription tab available on your website so that when people are visiting your website, they can sign up for your daily deals or monthly newsletter or specials or whatever the case may be, so that you're building an email database. Number 5, WhatsApp. WhatsApp is incredibly powerful, and as you may know, it's owned by Facebook, and we're starting to see more and more integration of Facebook and WhatsApp. In fact, just a couple of days ago, it was released that that WhatsApp are now enabling, granted it's only in Brazil as a trial, you to pay using WhatsApp. Now that is going to be a game changer in terms of people being able to buy from Facebook or buy using your WhatsApp or directly onto your website. So we've got to make sure that we're there. And then, like I say, your email, WhatsApp, etc. Your digital rule of 7 is really important to get right. And then what are we talking about offline? Well, again, it's so important to make sure that we are talking to our prospective clients, not just in the digital space. So we're a digital agency, but we've got vehicle branding. We've got our clothes are branded. We have a billboard outside our office. We have street pole ads, business cards, brochures, etc. So make sure that your offline marketing is all in order as well, because guess what? Offline, you're going to make sure that your website is prominent, so that when people see your street pole, your ad, your business card, whatever the case may be, your vehicle, your branded vehicle, that the website is there. So they're going to go, oh wow, okay, I need that. What's the website? Fantastic, let's go there. So please do remember the power of the rule of 7 branding as far as that's concerned. So breaking down into some of the specifics as far as digital is concerned, at Connect we live by our principle of the 4 R's. And the 4 R's are really important when you're considering the planning component of your digital strategy, and specifically when you look at from a Google perspective. And what are the 4 R's? Number 1, relevance. Talk to your ideal market about the problems that they have and the solutions that you have, and make sure that it's relevant. Don't try to be all things to all people. Relevance is so important, because if you don't have the key focus on what your market is all about and what problems they are encountering, you're going to be talking to all people about all things. And as a result, your message is going to be diluted and as a result, ineffective. So relevance is massive. The second thing is relationships. You do have an existing client base, and if you're a new business, you soon will have an existing client base. So how do we nurture those relationships? And in the digital space, we find that the two most powerful tools are email and WhatsApp, because your customer already knows you. So engage with them in that way, and don't make it always about selling product. One of the critical things when you're talking about developing relationships is being helpful. You know, we have a slogan here, #happy to help. And being helpful, whether it is providing product knowledge, videos, whether it's how to, whether you are answering a number of queries or problems that people have, make sure that you're helping people, because that is nurturing and growing and developing those relationships. Then the third R is a really important one, and that is reputation. Now, as we know, we live and die by our reputation as individuals. You know, the quality of the work that we do, the quality of the interactions that we have with people in business and in life in general, determine how people see us as a person. And it is exactly the same in business. Our reputation is critical. And the key element on this is that a number of people, most people, are influenced by reviews and essentially your reputation in the marketplace in terms of their buying decision. So we've got to utilize things like Google reviews, Facebook reviews. Think about it. I'm sure you've been in an Uber. And what happens after you've dropped off at your destination? App comes up and says, please rate your driver. So reputation management is something that is so crucial. And the beauty about it is that within Google My Business, which we'll talk about in a moment, is Google Reviews, the world's biggest review platform. Now, there's a number of other platforms that you can use. Some of them may be industry specific for you. I know hospitality, where we spend a lot of time working, there's multiple reviews, you know, whether you look at TripAdvisor, Booking.com, whatever the case may be, and they have a marked impact on the client's propensity to buy. So make sure that when you're talking about planning, that you do have a component of it there for reputation management. And then our fourth R is results, because that's really what is important. We need to perpetuate and grow our businesses, and results are the lifeblood of the business. And when I say results, we're talking about people searching on Google for you, being able to find you, going to your website, liking what they see that there are a number of points of connection, and being able to connect with you straight away in terms of the service or product offering that you have. So make sure that you are results focused as well. So if you are being cognizant of those 4 R's, it really will make a marked impact in terms of your overall marketing strategy. In fact, your overall business strategy, because I think that it fundamentally encaptures every component of business. So now we have a plan. And now it's really important to have a look at how can we market you effectively? How can you market yourself effectively in the Google landscape? So the first port of call is Google My Business. Google My Business is really, in my opinion, one of the most underutilized social media channels. And I say social media channel, and for a lot of people, they don't even take cognizance of that. But the beauty about Google My Business, and Google My Business is that section on Google that when you're searching for something and there's an array of companies and you're looking at a particular company, it comes up and it has multiple tabs on the top in terms of your company information and details. It has Google Maps included, the ability for people to click through to your website, to call you, to book an appointment, whatever they're looking for. But the beauty about it is that there's a lot that you can be doing with Google My Business that is there to promote your business. It really is that first interface before your website. So it's really, really important to get your Google My Business up and running effectively. And as I mentioned earlier, Google My Business is something that is critical from a review perspective, because that's where Google Reviews sits. So make sure that you are setting up your effective Google My Business. It really is so important. And the review component is critical because, again, we're building trust. Before your prospective customer has even moved to your website, they're having a look at where are you reputationally, and they're gonna look at that. So make sure that you are actively engaging with reviews. Make sure that you are asking your clients for reviews. Make sure that even on your email signature that there's a component that says, let us know how we're doing, and create a hyperlink to your Google reviews. So important in terms of that. And you know, when people are on Google My Business, the statistics are that 76% of people will engage with your brand as a result of a trusted relationship, versus 46% who will engage just because your Google My Business is set up correctly. So make sure that you're setting up your Google My Business and setting it up effectively and keeping it dynamic. Nothing stopping you updating Google My Business with your social media campaigns, and it really is such an important tip to get right. Okay, so we've got Google My Business set up, and we now want to get advertising on Google. As I mentioned earlier, you really are looking at two paths. The do-it-yourself path, which is going to take a little bit of learning. It's doable. You can do it. If you've got a bit of a propensity for technology and you can make it work, fantastic. You're going to need to be monitoring, you're going to need to be evaluating, you're going to need to be changing and making sure that your ads are dynamic. You know, the ones that are not working, don't waste budget on it. The ones that are working, put more budget towards it. But keep it simple and just get going with your Google ads. The other alternative is contact a Google partner like ourselves and let them handle it for you. You know, it really does become a lot more effective when a Google partner is handling it, because they've got access to the latest updates, changes, software, etc. from Google. And we also do get advanced information in terms of what is happening. But more importantly, you've got a team behind you who are monitoring what is happening with your Google ads. And that really does speak volumes. Either which way, just get onto Google ads as far as that's concerned. Now, when we're talking Google ads, there's a number of different choices for you. If you are in the hospitality sector, and once we are through the challenges that we're facing at the moment, and we're seeing restaurants and hotels getting back into trade, then Google Hotel Ads is going to be a really important component. It is slightly specialized from the normal Google Ads, but for your hospitality business, really important to have a look at that. Then if you are selling products online, make sure that some of your Google Ads budget is going towards Google Shopping. Really key to make sure that you are maximizing on that, because your prospective customer has the opportunity of seeing you and the availability of your competitors' offerings, and if you are coming in with a decent offering, they can click and buy straight from Google Shopping then and there if you've set it up. So Google Shopping is really a key consideration if you are selling products online. And then finally, Google Display Network. Now, Google Display Network, I affectionately call the puppy of Google. You know, you can imagine the old days, walking back from school and the stray puppy follows you around, etc., until it finds its happy home with you. Google Display Network is not dissimilar to that. If you've ever been searching for booking.com or whatever the case may be, and you're looking at a particular resort, and then you go onto News 24 or one of these major traffic websites, and lo and behold, there is the Google ad of the very thing that you were looking for. Now, what Google is picking up is they're picking up from the site that you were searching on. You didn't complete your purchase on that, so let's keep remarketing to you whenever you are on other major websites. And sometimes that advert can be a little bit annoying, we know that, but it works. It is so effective because there may have been a reason why you didn't commit at that stage, but the Google Display Network just provides you with a reminder. Hey, remember, you were looking for me, and you're welcome to exit it and not see it again if you so choose. But from a marketer's point of view, it is highly highly effective. So why is YouTube so important for your digital marketing? Well, in 2006, Google bought YouTube for the princely sum of $1.65 billion. It's now worth far more than that. And why is that? Well, YouTube is the second biggest search engine, so to speak, in the world after Google. And in actual fact, there were surprisingly a couple of times this year where there were more searches on YouTube than there were on Google. Can you believe that? With over 1 billion hours a day watched on YouTube, it is so important that you are there. And if we think about it, most of us today are relating to video far better than having to read wads and wads of text. We can watch a 5 or 10 minute YouTube video that is there to help us or inform us or inspire us, and it's all available in one place. So if we do have 1 billion hours a month of search time, we need to make sure that our business is featuring there. And the brilliance about YouTube advertising is that it's actually more affordable in some ways than your Google ads. Now, I'm not saying you should be doing one and not the other. It really should be both. And why do I say it should be both? Well, because of the fact that Google owns YouTube, the technology that is within the YouTube platform means that the words that you are speaking in your video will impact your search engine optimization on Google, improving your searchability. Sounds crazy. You do a video on YouTube and that impacts your ranking on Google? Fantastic. All the more reason that you've got to be maximizing your YouTube videos as far as that's concerned. So let's have a look at why YouTube. Well, 40% of shoppers say that their buying decision was highly influenced by a YouTube video. So whatever that may be, somebody looking for a new pair of Adidas sneakers, and they've gone onto YouTube, had a look at it. There's an advert that pops up relating to that. Boom, your propensity to buy is that much higher. Why? Because video has a far greater ability to engage us emotionally because it's visual, as we're doing right here. So make sure that you have a strategy in place. And as you can see on the next slide, it says, be seen where everybody is watching. And that for me sums up the power of YouTube. So, we've got our plan in place. We built our digital landscape and we're thrilled with it. We're now growing and we're using advertising effectively on Google, on YouTube, and we're seeing the results starting to pour in. Fantastic. But how well are we doing? And this is really where it's important for you to get better insights into your business and enable you to do what we call pivot and perfect. Now, we're never going to get it 100% right. But if we are doing the analysis and if we're using the effective Google platforms, the analysis platforms, specifically Google Analytics, it's going to enable you so much more to have the data of how successful your campaigns are. It's going to show the flow of traffic, how much of that traffic is paid traffic and how much of it is organic. And there's such rich data. And if you do need to share that data with your team, then you have the Google Data Studio, which is a fantastic interface which pulls in all of the key information and provides it in an easy to use, easy to understand format in terms of information and results, how you're doing on that. So I really encourage you as the fourth step here to make sure that you are evaluating or analyzing the success of your campaigns. Critical to do. Google have a number of other products that can then be locked in if you so wish to, in terms of far deeper analysis. Whether we look at surveys, whether we're looking at Tag Manager, whether we look at Optimize as a product, Google has all of these products. But the most important one for you at this stage is to get into Google Analytics. It's going to provide you with the information that you need that will enable you to make smart business decisions to carry on growing with Google. I'd like to talk about voice search for a moment. And it's something that I've started using a little bit more and experimenting with. And I haven't given it much thought until recently, because we've been so used to just typing in the search into our search engine and off we go. But I think it's really important to note that the statistics this year are showing that 22% of purchases that were done online were done as a result of a voice search. And how complicated is it? It's simply a matter of, hello Google, I'm looking for whatever it may be, spa in Cape Town. And so Google is now enabling us to communicate, as opposed to just type, with Google far more effectively. And that is really, really powerful. But what does this mean for us in the Google environment, and what does this mean for us as business owners and marketers? Well, the critical point here is that there's a change in search phrases using voice as opposed to search phrases when we're typing it in. When we're typing it in, it's going to be Cape Town, spa, simple as that. Whereas when we're looking at voice, we've got to make sure that there are longer search phrases, because it is more conversational. So I'm looking for a spa in Cape Town. We've got to make sure that we're putting those search phrases into our ads and making sure that we are maximizing on that, because it's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And when you look at it from a Google perspective, they wanting to push this more and more. Google has a product called Google Home, and to date they are dealing with an 81% accuracy level as far as voice search is concerned. How amazing, and how convenient for us. We can be driving hands-free, hello Google, spa Cape Town, and off we go. So it's becoming really powerful, and I know that the next stage of artificial intelligence evolvement is going to be where that search is going to enable you to find the right website, interact with that website again with voice, and get to the point where you're not even needing to type anything in. I mean, how incredible is that? You can book that spa treatment all through voice. So please just take cognizance of voice when we're looking at your Google environment. It is so important. And as we've been talking about, Google impacts every facet of our lives. You know, I love spending time in the great outdoors. I love the break from technology. But you know what? Our lives, when we are in our business realm and in our day-to-day lives, technology is there to make our lives better. And Google is the epicenter of that. So I highly recommend for you, in terms of growing your business, grow it with Google. Make sure that you're doing the work in terms of the Google environment, and I hope that some of the tips that I've given you have been really helpful. And if you do want us to help in terms of your Google ads, more than happy to do so. More than happy to just have the conversation and see if I can give you some guidance on that. My contact details will be at the end of the presentation, and we are running a special at the moment that if you do sign up with us for Google ads, we will do your Google My Business for you free of charge, which is valued at 2,500 Rand. So I really thank you for your time. I thank you for watching this, and just wish you all the very best to get going, get growing with Google, and maximize your business opportunity. Thank you so much.